In the impoverished 1950s, Lu Pingyan had a mysterious valley system. Inside, there are birds singing and flowers fragrant, the stream is sandy white, and schools of fish and shrimp. With these, the Lu family has changed from being poor before, living in abundance and thriving. Qinhuai. Lu Pingyan, if you only focus on your own enjoyment, you will suffer retribution. Lu Haizhong. You kid, can you give me a sip of wine and die? Yan Bugui. If you do this, you will eventually die of poverty. Qinhuai. Peace, I regret it. Can you forgive me? Without me taking care of it for you, your home would be fine. One day. Everyone was shocked. What? He is still the son of a wealthy man in the capital. Now, the entire hospital has completely broken through its defenses. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. 001, at the beginning and on the brink of death, the world is desolate. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dad, Mom, I'm sorry to you all. In early January 1951, the capital was unusually cold. There is a family with only 4 walls. A pale-faced young man wrapped in a thick blanket, slowly shedding tears. Beside the bed, a middle-aged couple and a 5 or 6-year-old girl kept wiping away their tears. The young man's name is Lu Pingyan. 18 years ago, he was abandoned in winter and picked up by the Lu Haishan couple to go home. Because he sighed at his child's unfortunate fate, he named him Pingyan and hoped that he would have a safe and smooth life. But God did not pity this difficult family. Lu Pingyan was plagued by serious illness since childhood, making it even more difficult for already impoverished families to move forward. My adoptive father, Lu Haishan, was originally a famous hunter. 2 years ago, he was torn off by a wild boar and became paralyzed. As a result, the Lu family could hardly survive. Fortunately, Lu Pingyan was finally able to go hunting alone. Although his level was far inferior to his adoptive father, the whole family's life finally saw a glimmer of light. But one day, he was bitten by a dog. Heaven, it's collapsing again. Lu Haishan grabbed his graying hair and said in pain, Pingyan, you haven't offended us. It's Dad who's not promising and doesn't have the ability to find a good job for you or treat your illness. I finally found a partner for you and was intercepted by the Jia family. Lu Haishan gritted his teeth in hatred. He brought Qinhuai from the countryside to be his daughter-in-law and looked at her honestly. Who knew that he was fooled by the people in the courtyard and ran away with Jia Dongshu? Lu Pingyan was depressed and was bitten by a dog while going out to relax, and then quickly fell ill. Foster mother Su Huimin wiped her tears and said, Pingyan, you have to hold on. Even if your parents sell a house, they will treat your illness. Brother, woo. Xiaoqingqing tilted her head back and cried uncontrollably. She is still young and doesn't know what death is. Just looking at her brother like this, she feels too heartbroken. Tears streaked past Lu Pingyan's temples. He really wants to kiss his cute and sensible sister again. Unfortunately unable to move. My whole strength is also rapidly dissipating outside. It was freezing cold and there was a circle of people around the door. Yan Bugui shuddered and said, Everyone, it turns out that I have a partner who cannot get married or live together. Look. No need to look. Lu Haizhong interrupted arrogantly, saying, Old Yan, my family will get married next month, and I need it urgently. Zhonghai said, Your children are not married, but Dongshu is already married. Now, it's appropriate to be separated by a curtain at night. Do you think so? Not suitable, not suitable. Jia Dongshu quickly followed suit and looked at the Lu family's house with bright eyes. His biggest dream now is to live separately from his biological mother. That way, you dare to use your strength at night. Su Fugue was so anxious that he couldn't get in touch. His family had the best conditions and there was a house elsewhere. Although it's not obvious, everyone has a clear idea in their hearts. You all have to listen to me. At this moment, an old voice came and the deaf old lady walked over with the help of an old lady. With an unquestionable voice, he said, "You all have selfishness and only consider yourself. Only Qinhuai sincerely wants to help others, without selfishness. So I support Qinhuai. Everyone, just curl your lips. Relying on the old to sell the old. Besides, Qinhuai has no selfish intentions. If it weren't for the sake of retirement, Qinhuai would have worked hard to help Jia Dongxiu get a house. If he had children of his own, would he help Jia Dongxiu?" The deaf old lady said loudly, "The Lu family's big house belongs to Dongxiu, I'll take care of it." "Madam, you can't make your own decisions about this. The eldest in the Bangs is not satisfied. He is the second eldest, and who are you?" the deaf old lady. If it weren't for his fear of bullying the lonely old man and his bad reputation, he would want to kick the deaf old lady to death. Yeah. Yen Bugue and Su Fugue quickly followed suit. Dang 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 dang. The deaf old lady struck the ground with a cane and loudly said, "I can't be the master. I am the ancestor of this courtyard." Cough, that. He Da Qing, who had been silent beside him all along, cleared his throat and said, "Even if everything is safe, Lao Lu is still here. Although his family is an outsider, they treat us locals well. Are you just calculating their house like this? Is it not good?" At only 17 years old, but looking like a 40-year-old silly pillar, he loudly said, "Dad, this is not a calculation. They are openly robbing." Silly pillar. He Da Qing tugged at his son and saw everyone's faces disdainful. Knowing that he couldn't stop them, he sighed and dragged the silly pillar home. As soon as he left, everyone didn't continue to argue. See who can get the house. Safe. Suddenly, a mournful roar came from the room, followed by mournful cries. 002, the top beam and pillars have fallen, and the little one is coming to the door, seeking freshness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The sound of crying just came from the room, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Dead, dead. Jia Dongxiu was overjoyed and tugged at the sleeve of Qinhuai beside him. Qinhuai's face lit up with joy, secretly grateful that she had chosen Jia Dongxiu. If she had followed Lu Pingyan, she would now be a widow. Go, go, go. Jia Dongxiu couldn't wait to open the door and didn't even look at Lu Pingyan on the bed. He gestured and said, "Huairu, let's move in tonight. Look, here's the cupboard, here's the sewing machine. I'll make a new wardrobe and put it here." Qinhuai frowned and said, "Dongxiu, should we wait a few days? It's unlucky for someone who just died." Jia Dongxiu. "It's okay, I have a strong yang energy, and I'm afraid of that short-lived ghost." Qinhuai nodded and looked at her husband with admiration in her eyes. Qinhuai pretended to be sad and said, "Peace, good child. How could you be so cruel to leave your hard-earned parents behind?" Yen Bugue quickly followed suit and said, "You filial child, just leave as soon as you say. The third master really can't bear to part with you." Lu Haizhong said, "Pingyan, why are you? Why? Second grandpa really can't bear to part with you." Yen Bugue pouted, "Uneducated people can't even come up with a new word. Do you dare to rob the house if he doesn't leave his parents behind?" Silly Zhu sneaked in at some point and said angrily. On weekdays, he has a good relationship with Lu Pingyan. The two of them were of similar age, and whoever had some money would sneak out and drink. Now that Lu Ping has died and his family has been bullied, Silly Zhu cannot bear it. Silly pillar. Do you have any say in it? Get lost. He Da Qing, take care of your son. Silly pillar, get out. Everyone bombarded the foolish pillar outwards. Lu Haishan had red eyes and shook his head in desolation. Back then, he was the most famous hunter from all over the country. Although life may not be prosperous, it is always easy to eat and wear. In the first few years, Qinhuai's family couldn't give birth, so he went to help find herbs. During the Chinese New Year, Lu Haizhong always has no money at home. Every year, he sends a pot of dumplings. Yan Bugui fell on his leg, and he paid and helped to treat it. As for the deaf old lady, she didn't eat less from his family. At that time, everyone said that Lu Haishan was a good person and would repay him in the future. But now, where is there any reward? More like retribution. He is lame, his son is gone, and there is no pillar at home. They don't care if they don't help, they still have to come and rob the house. Qinhuai said, Haishan, you are a kind person. Now that your son is gone, your daughter will eventually get married in the future. Why are you living in such a big house? Why don't you give it to Dongshu? Dongshu will remember your kindness. Jia Dongshu said strangely, yes, Uncle Lu, I will remember the kindness. Besides, you are still the matchmaker between me and Huairu. You guys. Su Huimin bit tightly and looked at Jia Dongshu and Qinhuai with hatred. If it weren't for these dog men and women, Lu Pingyan wouldn't have gone out for a walk in anger, wouldn't have been bitten by a dog, and wouldn't have died young. Jia Zhang said, hurry up and tidy up, we'll move over tonight. Lu Haishan clenched his teeth tightly, with bloodstains oozing from the corners of his mouth. He wants to resist. Think of slapping Jia Zhang to death. But he has a disabled leg and can't even reach Jia Zhang. Besides, what if we hit it? He is not afraid of retaliation. But what about wives and daughters? Lu Haishan lowered his head and looked at his legs, which had shrunk like withered branches, and his energy disappeared in a moment. Brother, wake up quickly. They're bullying us. Woo-woo. Xiao Qingqing shook Lu Pingyan vigorously, her thin little face covered in tears. Sonny. 7-year-old he Rainwater walked in and gently hugged Qingqing's slender body, saying softly, come, how about going to my sister's house to play? No, I want my brother. My brother said it's no use crying. Come on, I'll have my dad cook something delicious for you. If I don't eat, I'll have my brother. Xiao Qingqing was crying with heart-wrenching tears. The deaf old lady frowned and loudly said, I announce that the Lu family's big house belongs to Dongshu. Lu Haishan, hurry up and send the people out and tidy up the house. Third Master Yan Bugui said, Madam, you have to be reasonable. This is not your house anymore, you have to let Haishan decide who to give the house to. Haishan, let's go to school soon. I treat her like my own child, and when she starts elementary school, she will join my class. Lu Haizhong followed suit and said, Haishan, we are old brothers now. You have been taking care of me all these years. My family is getting married, so please give me the house. Dang 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 dang. The deaf old lady lifted her cane and knocked on the table, angrily saying, are the little bunnies going to rebel? Is it difficult for our ancestors to speak? Usually, people are too lazy to fuss, and some small matters are left to her. Now it's a big deal about the house, who cares about her? Yan Bugui's eyes rolled and he said, Haishan, sell me your house. It's better than being robbed, right? I'll pay. 10 yuan. 10 yuan. You're so kind to say it, old Yan. Lu Haizhong extended 2 fingers, I'll pay 20. The market price is not like this. Su Fugui listened to the money and felt energized. After a moment of reflection, he continued, I'll pay 20.5. A bunch of stinky and shameless people. I thought you were all good people. The lowest price for this house is 60 or 70, right? At the door, Silly Pillar said with a contemptuous expression. Silly Pillar. Get lost. What's up with you? Get out of here. Damn it, what's in it? Everyone scolded angrily. No one noticed. Lu Pingyan, who had already lost his breath, suddenly moved his fingers lightly. 003, system descended, memory came, seeking flowers to harvest. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. In Lu Pingyan's consciousness. He suddenly arrived at a valley with sunshine, clear mountains, and clear waters, and a murmuring stream. The beautiful scenery of the mountains and valleys made Lu Pingyan feel a bit dazed. It just seems like there are no animals here, it's eerie and quiet. Welcome to the divine level space. Suddenly, a grand and distant sound came from the air. Like a voice beyond the heavens. This space is a different world, and the host can freely shuttle between this space and the real world. The host can enter Lingxi to wash bones and marrow, and be promoted to a body that is invincible to all poisons. Our space will release tasks from time to time, with generous rewards. Please complete them with your heart. First task release. Emotional value tasks, please host to receive 20 surprising points within 24 hours. Task success reward. Draw once. Task failure penalty. None. Transfer personal information. Host name. Lu Pingyan Comprehensive Physical Fitness. 12. Please enter Lingxi for bone washing and marrow cutting as soon as possible. Skill. None item. None. What is this? Lu Pingyan was extremely surprised. Then he walked uncontrollably into the clear stream. When the body comes into contact with cool stream water. A flood of memories flooded into my mind. Lu Pingyan was shocked to find that he was actually a traveler. And it's still a puncture. In his previous life, he was a smelting engineer who died in an accident. Unexpectedly, after death, the memories were also sealed. It was not until the arrival of the system that he awakened his past life memories. In his previous life, he watched TV dramas in the Courtyard house full of emotions. It's just that there's no such person as him inside. It must have been driven away by others. Or hide in a corner and live silently. Now, he is familiar with the plot and possesses a system and past life memories. As long as we return to reality, everything will be fine. There's no time to think too much. As the stream infiltrated his skin, Lu Pingyan's blood vessels expanded, as if the Yangtze River was surging, and his limbs and bones were infused with infinite power. Suddenly waving his arms, the stream burst open. Next, the system sound comes from above. The overall physical fitness of the host has been improved to 300. The average adult male value is 100. Okay. Lu Pingyan let out a loud roar and fainted with excitement inside. These houses used to belong to my family, I said they can't be bought or sold. If any of you dare to buy, I won't let anyone live a good life in the future. I'll make a fool of you. The deaf old lady looked at Grandpa Ersan and Su Fugue arrogantly. Su Fugue sighed in annoyance and silently took a step back. Grandpa Ersan stopped speaking, his expression extremely irritable. The house is important, but living is more important. With the deaf old lady's ability to stir up trouble, everyone is really afraid. Seeing this, the deaf old lady cleared her throat with satisfaction and said, "Dongshu, you can move over tonight. Lu Haishan, your ear room is enough for your family of 3 to live in." "Thank you, Grandma Deaf." Jia Dongshu rubbed his hands happily. "I haven't been married for a few days, and I'm addicted to my wife. But that end of the curtain is my mother. Make some noise, everyone is embarrassed." Qinhuai blushed and said, "Thank you, Grandma Deaf, thank you Grandpa, thank you everyone." "Deaf old lady, do you want to rob openly?" Lu Haishan's face was gloomy as he slowly lifted his head. The eyes of a hunter naturally have a fierce light. The deaf old lady stepped back half a step in fear. Yi Zhonghai stood in front of the deaf old lady and said, "Haishan, how can the house be taken from you for nothing? I'll give you 30 yuan as compensation, and you should continue to live your life." Lu Haishan shook his head and said, "You guys go, I'll vacate the room tonight." "Old Lu." Su Huiman let out a mournful cry. This house was hard earned by Lu Haishan selling mountain goods and prey. It is a place where a family can settle down and make a living. How can we just give it to someone? 30 yuan. This house is worth at least 80 or 90 now. Are you sending beggars? It's too bullying. Su Huimin wiped away her tears and looked sadly at Lu Pingyan, who had lost her breath. If it were normal, she would definitely struggle a bit. But now that her son is gone, she also has no heart. Okay. Yi Zhonghai left with everyone. Huimin, this is not a place for people to stay, you're like this. Lu Haishan and his wife whispered a few words to each other outside the house as it quieted down. Haishan. I can't bear to part with you. Su Huimin rubbed her chest, so angry that it was about to explode. Lu Haishan said helplessly, it's better than getting these animals cheaper. 004, Strange Shopkeeper. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the evening. Su Huimin has returned with an elderly man in his 60s. Lao Yi, something's going to happen. The Lu family's Zhang shopkeeper from Dongzaimen is here. As soon as Aunt saw the old man, she ran home. Yi Zhonghai said calmly, our Lu family and the wealthy Lu family are not the same family. I have already checked. No. The Lu family wants to sell a house. Yi Zhonghai reacted and quickly ran towards the backyard. On the other side. Lu family. Su Huimin poured tea for shopkeeper Zhang. The Lu family in Dongqing district is extremely wealthy, and the head of the family, Lu Changchuan, is known as Lu Bancheng. Half of the city is owned by people. Although this title is mysterious, it also reveals the powerful and wealthy background of the family. Manager Zhang is in charge of buying and selling houses in the Lu family. In the afternoon, Su Huimin went to the place where the Lu family bought houses to sell. I thought at most I could come and have a look at the running room girls. Coincidentally, Manager Zhang was there. After hearing Su Huimin's crying, he actually came in person. After Zhang, the shopkeeper walked in and headed straight to the bedside, quietly observing the silent Lu Pingyan. After a while, he asked softly, Master, are you sure this child was picked up by you on the 15th day of the first lunar month 18 years ago? Lu Haishan nodded without hesitation, feeling a sense of sadness as he said, poor thing, this child has followed my poor family. Ah, it's all fate. Zhang, the shopkeeper, took out a stack of money from his pocket and gently placed it on the table. Here is the room rate of 90 yuan, he said. Su Huimin quickly took out the property deed, but Zhang, the shopkeeper, waved his hand and sighed, saying, it's not urgent. Don't send this child yet. I will come back at the latest the day after tomorrow. What is this? Su Huimin showed a puzzled expression. Lu Haishan is also very puzzled. I didn't wait for the two of them to ask. Bang! Wow! The door glass was smashed by a crutch. Broken glass fell all over the ground. Immediately after, the deaf old lady walked in with the help of Yi Zhonghai. Manager Zhang, you are not allowed to buy this room. Those in charge, remember. Unexpectedly, the shopkeeper Zhang didn't pay any attention to the deaf old lady and said he had to leave. You stop. Jia Dongxiu blocked the way and stared, saying, do you believe it or not? You took this house and we won't sell it to you. Yi Zhonghai said, Manager Zhang, you are a prestigious figure. Why did you come in person? You don't understand the situation in our hospital. Speaking, he looked at Grandpa Aaron, Grandpa San and Su Fugue. The three of them pondered over it. Although we can't get the house, we can't ruin our relationship with Mr. One. Yen Bugue said, this house used to be owned by an old lady. The old lady was a person who made contributions to the country. Although the house is no longer hers, we should also consider the emotions of the heroes. Lu Haizhong said, someone in our courtyard urgently needs a house. Why sell it to the neighbors at a cheaper price? If you offer 90 yuan, it will break the rules in our courtyard. Su Fugue said, they're all right. On the side, Su Dumao rolled his eyes and realized that his father was really cunning. The deaf old lady pounded her cane hard and loudly said, I won't let this house be sold. If you have the ability, you can find someone to arrest me. I'm going to die anyway, and I'm not afraid of anything. Qinhuai stroked her slightly swollen belly and said pitifully, Shopkeeper, the old lady is a great hero. You can't bully her as a lonely old man. A great hero. Hee hee. Manager Zhang chuckled and continued, have you finished speaking? Everyone looked at each other in confusion. It seems like I've finished speaking. It seems like I haven't finished speaking yet. The attendant brought by Manager Zhang gave a wink. That person is 18 or 19 years old, with bulging temples and terrifying bright eyes. Come up and pry open Jia Dongshu, making way. Head of the household, I'll leave first. Manager Zhang politely said and left. Jia Zhang crossed her waist and loudly said, Lu Haishan. Why haven't you sent your wild child away yet? Believe it or not, I'll throw him out and clean up the house. She also wants to live separately from her son. At night, the young couple made a scene, and she was even more embarrassed than the young couple. Yi Zhonghai said, Haishan, what's wrong with you? Didn't we agree? You're shameless. When did they agree? Silly Pillar was watching at the door, wanting to hold back, but couldn't hold back anymore. Silly Pillar. Get lost. Do you have the right to speak? He Da Qing, take your son away. Believe it or not, I'll hit you. Everyone threatened and frightened him, but Silly Zhu remained unmoved. It was only after Lu Haishan gave him a glance that he left. The most urgent thing to say is Jia Dongshu. Lu Haishan, I'll give you 30. Move to your small room immediately. If you don't agree, I'll make your family restless every day. You're a junior. Is that how you talk to your elders? Lu Haishan couldn't bear to be humiliated and stared fixedly at Jia Dongshu. Jia Dongshu, you're so big and brave. Suddenly, Lu Pingyan, who was completely cold on the bed, suddenly sat up. On his pale and bloodless face, his two eyes were terrifyingly black and bright. Like a person tied in paper. Everyone was stunned. Immediately after, the temple exploded inside the house. Oh my goodness. Fake a corpse. Run quickly. Hurry up, we're going to bite someone. Dongshu, help your ancestors quickly. I'm going to bite someone. As Lu Pingyan sat up, the group of people who had just been extremely spirited disappeared in an instant. Rabies is notorious and terrifying. No one wants to risk their lives for the sake of the house. Ding, 20 surprise points harvested successfully. Task completed. Host, please start the lottery. Lu Pingyan didn't rush to draw the lottery. He looked at his parents and choked up, saying, Mom and Dad, I'm back. 005, Great Joy After Great Sorrow, Seeking Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Brother. Hurry up and hug me. Safe. Son. A family hugging each other. Lu Pingyan was filled with emotions, and memories struck her at birth. When he crossed over, the original owner was just a baby born a few days ago, already frozen to death. If it weren't for this family passing by, stuffing him into their arms and taking him home, carefully nurturing him, he would have frozen to death as soon as he crossed over. Can that be considered the most tragic interloper? A circle of people surrounded the house, pointing towards the room. Is it a resurgence? Not like it. It should have survived. Sai, how did you get through it? It should be a comeback. I guess you're going to die soon. Jia Zhang, you're not human. Is it useful to be a person? Has anyone owned a house? Inside. Lu Pingyan said, Mom and Dad, don't feel bad anymore. There will be plenty of good days in the future. Lu Haishan was so excited that he couldn't speak and nodded vigorously. It doesn't matter what kind of good day it is. As long as the family can be together. Home is stronger than anything. Lu, let me take a look at you. Silly Zhu walked in and asked a bit embarrassed, you won't bite me, will you? Lu Pingyan smiled and shook his head. Silly Zhu smiled and approached to look at Lu Pingyan. Lu Pingyan patted Silly Pillar's shoulder and said seriously, Pillar, thank you. In fact, he has long been sober, but his body cannot move or speak. The He family is helping the Lu family, and he is listening to them all. At first, he suspected that Silly Zhu was the obedient grandson of a deaf old lady in the drama, a good worker of Qinhuai, and the #1 licking dog of Qinhuai. How could I go against them? Later on, I realized that He Daqing had not yet run away with the widow, and the deaf old lady in Qinhuai had not yet started calculating against him. Jia Dongxiu did not die, and Qinhuai did not need to calculate on him. Unexpectedly, the initial version of stupid Zhu was still a good person. He Yushui rubbed his little nose and walked in with a sweet smile, saying, Pingyan, you've woken up. Well, I woke up. Lu Pingyan looked at the 7-year-old He Rainwater and waved with a smile. He Rainwater approached and opened his little arm. Lu Pingyan picked her up and gently said, Rainwater, know you treat Qingqing well, and I will treat you well in the future. He Rainwater smiled coquettishly and didn't care about this sentence. She could never have imagined it. My future life has completely changed because of today's actions. He Daqing walked to the door, installed the glass, and smiled, saying, Brother Lu, you are blessed. Lu Pingyan let out a casual, Bastard. He Daqing lifted his foot and shook it weakly, then laughed and cursed, You bastard, I'm talking to your father. Ha ha ha. The Lu family heard hearty laughter. Several days ago, the gloom swept away. Lu Pingyan took out the wrinkled 5 yuan from his body and gave it to Silly Zhu, saying, Don't you argue every day and want to take a spoonful. Tonight, how many dishes will you cook for us? Let's have a good meal together. Lu, where did you get the money? Yeah, Pingyan, how come you have money? Not to mention Silly Zhu doesn't know, even the Lu Haishan couple don't know that their son is wealthy. Lu Pingyan smiled and said, I thought I couldn't do it anymore, so I wanted to leave this money for you to live on. Su Huimin lowered her head and sobbed. He Daqing nodded straight and said, Good kid, that's great. Silly Pillar, you learn a little. Silly Zhu nodded straight and said, Dad, don't worry, I will definitely leave it for you before I die. Shut your dog's mouth. Pop. He Daqing slapped the back of the Silly Pillar's head, his face turning pale with anger. Brother He, please extinguish the fire. The child Zhu likes to talk nonsense. Silly Zhu's commotion made Su Huimin laugh and drove him out to buy groceries. There's something delicious. He Rainwater hugged Xiaoqingqing and circled around. The 2 little girls cheered and jumped. Children are a natural atmosphere group, and the atmosphere in the room becomes more lively. Nowadays, in the year 50, the new country has just been established. Because the rationing system has not yet been implemented, money can buy some things. But now it's winter and there's no vegetable greenhouse yet, so we can't buy seasonal vegetables like tomatoes and cucumbers. You can buy some meat. In the icy and snowy weather, Silly Zhu ran outside for an hour or so, buying 2 pounds of meat, a chicken, a string of dried mushrooms, and a household's own mung bean sprouts. I spent a total of 3 yuan and 2 jiao, and there is still a lot left. Silly Pillar. Your family is only living for a while now. You're a spendthrift. In the front yard, Yan Bugue came out to pour out dirt and was stunned. Silly Zhu can be considered to have seen the character of the people in the courtyard clearly today. All the previous respect has disappeared, and he just ignored them. Return to the Lu family. Silly Zhu handed the remaining money to Lu Pingyan and rolled up his sleeves to start working. It has to be said that the Lao He family has a tradition and genes in cooking. For the first time in his life, Silly Zhu used all his abilities to serve as a banquet. Not much use for a while, the whole house is filled with fragrance. Greedy he rainwater and Xiao Qingqing swirled around the pot. He Daqing and Lu Haishan chatted as usual. Su Huimin poured tea next to her and occasionally said a few words along. Take advantage of this gap. Lu Pingyan walked out of the courtyard alone and silently said, System, I want to receive rewards. 006, Luxury 1950s Dinner, Seeking Support. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the end of December in the capital, the night sky is clear and vast, and the bright moon hangs high. Outside the courtyard, Lu Pingyan listened to the voice in his mind, ding. Let's start the lottery. Lu Pingyan's consciousness entered a quiet valley, and in front of him appeared a bronze disc with a white pointer and sharp angular areas, each with 1.5 prizes written on it, and some were blank. Hit. Lu Pingyan didn't expect to have time, so he muttered to himself, lottery. Then the white pointer slowly rotated. From slow to fast, from fast to slow, slowly, the pointer stops, third prize. Lu Pingyan is very satisfied. If you leave a blank space, don't you still have to endure it? Congratulations to the host for winning the third prize. Get 100 grass carp fairy, which can grow to 2 pounds in 10 days. Get 1000 river shrimp fry, which can grow to 30 grams in 10 days and have an excellent taste. Get 100 mountain eggs, break their shells on the same day, and grow to 1.5 pounds in 10 days. Skill acquired. Beginner Iron Mountain, extremely powerful in short-distance combat. Obtain a 50% bonus for overall physical fitness. Transfer personal information. Host name. Lu Pingyan. Comprehensive physical fitness. 350, average of 100 for human males. Skill. 1. Junior Iron Mountain support item. None. Immediately after, a golden halo appeared in the void. Fish fry and shrimp fry flew out of the aperture and fell into the stream, immediately beginning to swim happily. After a row of dark green mountain eggs flew out, they were neatly arranged by the creek and began to shell one by one. Bald little heads protruded one by one, followed by thin wild chicken cubs swaying out. Lu Pingyan felt very happy in his heart. When fish, shrimp, and pheasants grow up, not only can they greatly improve the family's food quality, but they can also be taken out for sale. It is foreseeable that the family will no longer have to worry about money. Ordinary people, don't they just want to have plenty of food and clothing? He is not greedy for too much after death. As long as a family can be together, it's better than anything. Shua. Lu Pingyan withdrew his consciousness and returned to reality, walking towards home. From afar, one can hear the house bustling with activity. Silly Zhu arranged this meal very well. 2 pounds of meat. 1 gene of braised pork belly. Half a caddy of big balls, served with food to make stewed pork ball in brown sauce. Paired with 2 pairs of cabbage slices, make vinegar pickled cabbage. Leave 3 or 2 pairs of radishes to make radish stewed meat. A chicken, following the Northeasterners' recipe, stewed with mushrooms. Bean sprouts and eggs are mixed separately in a soup, which is called a delicious one. After working for over an hour, a large table of dishes was set up. Duong. He Daqing walked in and placed 2 bottles of Fengjiu on the table, arrogantly saying, Brother Haishan, you warmly welcomed our grandfather and son. I can't be stingy anymore. I bought this 10 years ago and was planning to take it out when we got married. Lu Haishan is a simple hunter and won't be too polite. Pingyan, my dad used to think you were a child, but today you know that you have grown up and become an adult. For the first drink, my dad and uncle he will accompany you. Okay. Lu Pingyan said to his parents first, the 2 elders have suffered, and I will definitely let you live a good life in the future. Mr. and Mrs. Lu Pingyan wiped their tears, their hearts fluctuating. From the despair of losing a son to now full of hope for the future. Like riding a roller coaster. Exciting. Su Huimin quickly grabbed the glass and poured out half of it. You kid, you're seriously ill, how can you drink too much? You mean to take a sip, she said. Lu Pingyan nodded with a smile and drank it all in one gulp. Lu Haishan raises his neck, take down. Even Su Huimin, who never drinks, drank half a glass in one gulp. Lu Pingyan respected the father and son of the He family again and said in a loud voice, Uncle He, Zhu, thank you too for helping each other with righteousness today. If you don't say much, we will have a long way to go. Originally, after Lu Pingyan gained memories of his past life, he didn't want to see the father and son of the He family. According to the plot, He Daqing will be running away with the widow next year. Silly Zhu became the obedient grandson of the deaf old lady, the obedient son of Yi Zhonghai, and the donkey of the Qinhuai Ru family. These two gentlemen don't seem like good people at all. But today he saw the other side of the two again, at least much kinder than the others in the courtyard. The father and son of the He family blushed and said they didn't help. Lu Pingyan comforted them a few words, everyone is eating. Now it's the 1950s. Everyone is poor and destitute. Even the wealthiest Lao Su and Lao Yi families in the courtyard would never be meat or chicken in their daily lives. The happiest one is Xiaoqingqing, who ate happily. A big mouthful of braised pork belly came into my mouth, puffed his cheeks and shook his head, unwilling to swallow it. He rainwater drooled as he looked at it, wanting to eat but feeling embarrassed. Children in this era are sensible early on, and it is not easy to know who has something delicious to eat. Even if they are greedy, they dare not touch their chopsticks. Completely lost the charm of circling around the pot table just now. It wasn't until everyone tried to persuade her that she completely let go and indulged in it. In winter, doors and windows are sealed, and the fragrance gradually wafts out. The first person to smell it was the neighboring Lao Jia family. Sigh. Qinhuai put down her chopsticks, gently rubbed her stomach, and muttered to herself, Son, I'll be fine when you come out. Mom will buy you something delicious. Jia Dongxiu poured a big mouthful of congee with noodles. His mother, why not die? Is it true? Jia Zhang's face darkened as she said, Our family is not human. We used to know how to give some delicious food to our family, but now that Huairu is pregnant, which bite is missing from his family? Dongxiu, go and order some. 007, they crave food, seeking support. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay. I don't believe he dares to give it or not. If he doesn't give it to me, he'll lift his desk. Jia Dongxiu threw down his chopsticks, went out with a bowl, and directly broke into the Lu family. Ha! The smell of braised pork belly, chicken stewed with mushrooms, lion's head, several fragrances mixed together, desperately pounding Jia Dongxiu's nose. Jia Dongxiu looked at Lao He's family with jealousy. Look at what they eat. A mouth full of oil. I don't know how exciting it is. Didn't he just say a few words to help the old Lu family? The Lu family is really foolish. Just as Lu Haishan was about to speak, Lu Pingyan said calmly, Jia Dongxiu, your bullying of my Lu family is not over yet. Tonight, my family is having dinner, so I don't have time to talk to you. Take your bowl and get lost. Speaking of the end, Lu Pingyan's calm gaze erupted with a deadly intent. These people force his parents to sell houses and wander in foreign lands. This revenge needs to be avenged slowly. Can't just give them a quick pleasure. That's too cheap for them. Who wants food? You're shameless. Jia Dongxiu was exposed, but he didn't know how to speak and left angrily. Dongxiu is back. Since marrying into the Jia family, Qinhuai hasn't eaten a bite of meat for 6 months. I was already extremely greedy. When I saw Jia Dongxiu coming back, I quickly ran to the door. Immediately, her expression became disheartened and she whispered, "Why didn't you come back? Didn't you want to lift the table?" Me. Jia Dongxiu blushed with embarrassment. He is not afraid of Lu Pinyin, but he is afraid of Silly Pillars. Silly Pillar has a thick and short neck, and is naturally strong like a calf. If we really do it, we will definitely suffer losses. Besides, it's rumored to be embarrassing. I'm too lazy to see them in the same light. Am I such a person without qualities? Yes. We don't have the same perspective as them. Qinhuai forced a smile, but in her heart, she looked down upon her. She was no longer the ignorant village maid, and saw through the essence of her husband's cowardice when faced with strength. In the early 1950s, the only common dish in winter was cabbage, potatoes, and radishes, which was common in every household. The door of Lu's house only opened for a while. The whole hospital can smell the fragrance. Front yard. Dad, whose family is it? It's so fragrant. I want to eat. Go and order some. Yan Jicheng and Yan Jifang started a commotion. The third master Yan Bugui had already gone to pry open the window and said angrily, "Old Lu family. Lu Pinyin has survived, so they can't celebrate." Sandama sighed and said, "If I had known we didn't want a house, let's also help to say something. Then we can go to his house tonight and have a good meal." Yan Bugui sneered and said, "Long flowing water is what makes a living. The old Lu family will starve to death sooner or later like this." "Dad, I don't care, I want to eat. I want to eat." "You're going soon. Aren't you the third master? Aren't you the steward of the courtyard?" Shut up, shut up. Everyone shut up. Something embarrassing. Backyard. Zhonghai, go get me a piece of meat, just say my ancestors want to eat it. The deaf old lady hasn't seen any meat for half a year, and her throat is burning with envy. Zhonghai is a bit in a dilemma. During the day, he forces people to sell houses, which is more like buying a house than openly robbing. Do you want meat now? It's too shameless. Hurry up. Mom, go ahead. Madam, this. Isn't it good? Hurry up. Okay, I'll go. A middle-aged woman couldn't help but walk into the Lu family with a bowl in her hand. His aunt, in the past, my family used to hunt wild game in the mountains and seas, so let's give it to Brother E. Now, I don't have your meals at home. Su Huimin saw the true face of the people in the courtyard clearly, and after her son came back to life, she had the confidence to speak forcefully. A middle-aged woman blushed with embarrassment and said, "Huimin, I'm not embarrassed to come. It's the deaf old lady in the backyard who said our ancestors wanted a piece of meat. Tell her, she's not the ancestor of my Lao Lu family." Lu Pinyin finished speaking calmly and gestured for Silly Pillar to close the door and see off the guests. "By the way, I also want to see if Silly Zhu can see through the whole family. I also want to see how the rough and foolish Pillar will deal with an old lady." Silly Zhu stood up and said with a playful smile, "Aunt, today you have broadened my horizons. Sit down and have some." A middle-aged woman was so ashamed that she fled in despair. This operation was unexpected by Lu Pinyin. Now, finally peace has come. Everyone ate and chatted until late at night. Rainwater and Xiao Qingqing had already fallen asleep under the covers. The two little girls had a delicious meal today and had a satisfied smile on their faces while sleeping. The adults were full of food and drink, looking at the two little girls with smiles on their faces. Life in difficult times is like this. Seeing your children eat and drink enough is great comfort. Finally, no one had the heart to wake up Rainwater, so they stayed here to sleep. After the father and son of the He family left, Lu Haishan said, "Pinyin, you will live in a big house from now on. Your mother, I, and Qingqing will move to the ear room. The ear room is a small side room. In the TV series, Rainwater grew up and lived there. Lu Pingyan shook his head and said, "There's no reason to let my parents live in the cabin. I'm still sleeping there." After finishing speaking, she walked to the bedside and kissed Xiao Qingqing's meaty face. Thinking about the adorable Rainwater, she went back to sleep. The next day, early in the morning, Lu Pingyan put on the complete set of necessary equipment for hunters, ready to try his skills and come back with a few wild beasts. Ding, task release. Emotional tasks, please host to earn 20 jealousy points within 24 hours. Task success reward. Draw once. Task failure penalty. None. Jealousy value. Making others jealous. Besides being handsome, what else makes people jealous of me? Lu Pingyan is in a difficult situation. We can't sell our colors, can we? I'll go. Lu Pingyan exclaimed in surprise as soon as he left. Okay, the snow is deep to the knees. He suddenly thought of something and hurriedly walked towards the He family. New books seek support, young authors will grasp the quality, diligently update, and collect flowers, evaluate tickets, and receive monthly rewards. Your support is the greatest motivation for the author, kneel down and thank you. 008, you chose the road yourself, Qinhuai Ru, you live. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Children in these years are as lowly as grass. During the holiday, my parents went to work and my child stayed at home on their own. Every winter, children suffer from coal smoke poisoning accidents. Mr. He and his son both work in Siheyuan, and at the age of 7, Rainwater can only stay at home by himself. Add coal to the furnace by yourself. Want to heat up food on your own. In later generations, 7-year-old children are basically incapable of doing anything. But nowadays, there are children who can cook at the age of 7. It can only be said that the children of the poor take over early. Lu Pingyan pushed open the door and immediately smelled a strong smell of coal smoke. Little Rainwater, dressed in thin clothes, squatted by the stove, nibbling on corn cakes. Rainwater smiled sweetly and said softly, "Pingyan, early morning. The rain is early, are you cold or not?" Lu Pingyan really likes her. In my memory, since Lu Haishan's limp, every family has not allowed their children to play with Xiao Qingqing, afraid that Xiao Qingqing will eat them. Only the old He family not only allows Rainwater and Xiao Qingqing to play, but sometimes they also stutter. One bite is not a problem in later generations. In this era, it is a great friendship. Lu Pingyan put thick clothes on Rainwater, picked it up, and walked outside, saying, "In the future, when your father and brother are not at home, come to my house and play with Qingqing." Rainwater was so happy that he hugged Lu Pingyan's neck and kissed him. After the He family's advocacy incident, Lu Haishan and Su Huimin also liked Rainwater more. Seeing Lu Pingyan bring it, he immediately added a porridge. Everyone happily ate some pickled vegetables and porridge, and Lu Pingyan prepared to go hunting. "Brother, I want to follow my brother." Xiao Qingqing started shouting and hugged Lu Pingyan's leg without letting go. Rainwater immediately hugged Lu Pingyan's other leg and said, "I want to follow Pingyan too. I'm going to the mountains, how can I take you too?" Lu Pingyan smiled and picked up 2 little girls, who giggled happily but didn't let go. He is not afraid of trouble. The Qi mountain is dangerous, with wild beasts lurking around. In winter, wild animals are hungry and in danger. Lu Haishan only encountered a fierce wild boar a few winters ago when it was in trouble. If something happens to these 2 little girls, he can't bear it. Lu Haishan knocked on the smoking bag and pot, and said with a smile, "Sunny, rainy, you 2 play at home." "What's playing at home? It's safe. Listen to the damn thing, you're in good health. Take a few more days off." Lu Pingyan smiled and shook his head, unable to rest. His family is now penniless and destitute. Su Huimin knew what her son was thinking and pointed to a pile of clothes next to her with a smile, saying, "This is what Mom went to get back this morning. After washing it, she can earn 50 cents. Let's save some money, we can't go hungry." Lu Pingyan looked at his mother's cracked hands and felt a piercing pain in his heart. A few years ago, Lu Haishan lost his ability to work and could only collapse at home, sitting in a chair at most. After Lu Pingyan fell ill, his family quickly ran out of money. On weekdays, I rely on my mother to do laundry for people to make a living. In such a cold weather, even Iron Hand would freeze to pieces, let alone meat. Mom. Send the clothes back and tell them you won't do them anymore. I'm fine now, with me around, you don't have to do these things. This child, as long as you're not sick or disaster-stricken, what's the point of Mom being tired? Mom and Dad, why don't we do this? I won't go into the mountains today. I'll take them to smash the ice and fish, and they'll be back by noon. Upon hearing that fishing was not particularly dangerous, Lu Haishan and his wife reluctantly agreed. Okay. Let's go quickly. The two little girls were cheering and jumping with joy. Lu Pingyan carried a pickaxe and a thigh-thick wooden stake, holding a soft and sticky little girl in one hand as he went out. How are you, Lu Pingyan? Qinhuai squatted by the pool washing clothes, a hint of amazement flashing in her eyes. Lu Pingyan has regular facial features, is tall and strong, exuding a righteous and masculine aura. Unlike Jia Dongxiu, who has a mischievous appearance and is also sickly. If it weren't for Lu Pingyan being too poor and the Jia family's sewing machine dowry being too fragrant, she would really want to marry Lu Pingyan. And she has now regretted it. The sewing machine is said to be a dowry. In fact, after marrying over, she became a sewing worker. I made several sets of clothes, all for Jia Zhang and Jia Dongxiu. She didn't catch any of her own tricks. Whenever she thinks about these things, she feels resentful. She came from the countryside hoping for a better life. It's great to get married. Grandma Jia Zhang is lazy and doesn't do anything. She just keeps staring at her, afraid that she might have something to do with other men. Jia Dongxiu is careful of her eyes. If she looks at any man, she will either insult or take action when she comes home. Every day lives like a slave. If I had known earlier, it would have been better to marry into the Lu family. This is not. The door of the Jia family opened, and Jia Zhang glared at Qinhuai with a gaze that could kill people. She gritted her teeth and said, "You don't know how to come in and wash. Washing outside is to make which man pity you." Qinhuai lowered her head and said with grievances, "Mom, you were sleeping just now, and I was afraid of waking you up. Get out of here. Something that doesn't follow the rules of women." "Mom, I." Qinhuai lowered her head and still carried the basin home. "You deserve it." Lu Pingyan was too lazy to turn back. The roads were all chosen by himself. Since he despised poverty and loved wealth, he had to bear the weight of so-called wealth. Besides, is the Jia family called fool? Wait to suffer. Just because she regretted her marriage and did the immoral things to the Lu family with the Jia family. When Jia Dongxiu dies, he will definitely not let silly Zhu lick Qinhuai. According to the plot, without the help of the silly pillar, it's uncertain whether the Jia family's child can grow up. That's the beginning of the Jia family disaster. Suddenly, a meteor seemed to streak over the valley in his consciousness. Looking at the taskbar again, the progress has changed to 1/20. P.S. Is anyone watching? The new book period requires too much confidence. I beg all the experts to appreciate collecting flowers, evaluating tickets, monthly tickets, and giving rewards. 009, contributions from two old villains, seeking support. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Ping is happy now, probably because Jia Zhang envies him for being more handsome than her son. Unexpectedly, this dead old lady could still make contributions to him. "Pingyan, where are you going?" In the front yard, Yan Bugue held the fishing rod and asked. Fishing. Fishing. That's perfect. Let's go together. We'll be fishing in an ice hole and still be able to talk. Even if Yen Bugue had calculated it, the ice layer was at least 3 feet thick and he was exhausted from chiseling it himself. There is ready. Made coolly, not in vain. One more thing, put in less effort and eat less food. People, they are not poor in food and clothing, and if they cannot calculate, they will suffer poverty. Lu Pingyan didn't say anything and continued walking forward with his 2 younger sisters in his arms. A few people arrived at the Jinshan Reservoir upstream of the moat. In any era, a fisherman is a diligent and quick person. Look, on the vast and pure white snow surface of the reservoir, there are dozens of fishermen scattered like playing chess. Unlike later generations where fishing was purely for entertainment, nowadays people also fish to support their families. Nowadays, there is freedom of buying and selling, and fishing can not only be eaten by oneself, but also sold to restaurants or factory canteens. Those with good skills earn no less than workers. Lu Pingyan didn't rush to dig a hole, but instead erected the wooden stake he had carried on his back on the ice surface. Before coming, the wooden stake was crossed from the top. Now as long as the 4 pieces of wood are tightly tied and ignited from the top to the middle, the tree stumps will start burning from top to bottom, which is much more durable than scattering them. This is the famous Ruegwa torch in the wilderness survival competition. 10 minutes later, the core of the tree stump began to burn fiercely due to ventilation. Xiao Qingqing and Hiyushui squatted next to the fire, their small faces and eggs turning red. You two play, come over and bake the fire when it's cold. As soon as Lu Pingyan finished speaking, Xiaoqingqing quickly flicked her small hand and threw the snowball she had already secretly pinched onto he rainwater. Ah! Qingqing, you hit me. Cluck cluck cluck. He rainwater smiled coquettishly and called out the snowball that had been hidden earlier to Qingqing's chest. Ah, rainwater sister. Do you also have a snowball? Do you think you have it? I saw you secretly pinching it. Cluck cluck. Rainwater sister is bad. Even if it's sunny, you're bad. Quickly, the 2 little girls chased after each other in the snow. Lu Pingyan wore a faint smile on his face, suddenly feeling that this was the essence of life. A warm smile, a warm life, is better than anything. Pingyan, hurry up and chisel the ice. On the side, Yen Bugue couldn't wait any longer. Oh! Lu Pingyan's lips flashed with an imperceptible smile as he began to chisel ice. Big. Big. The more Yen Bugue looks, the more wrong he becomes. In theory, the diameter of the fishing hole for the 2 should be at least 40 centimeters, otherwise it is easy to entangle the hook. The hole dug by Lu Pingyan has a maximum diameter of 15 centimeters and is a typical single-person fishing hole. Not long after, the fishing hole was chiseled and it was indeed a single-person fishing hole. Peace, you are young, you must respect the elderly. Yen Bugue's face turned blue. If you don't chisel for him, then don't give it. You said it in advance. He drank the northwest wind for half a day. Lend it to you. Okay, I'll just say. Yen Bugue was overjoyed and then his face collapsed. Instead of borrowing a fishing hole, he threw a pickaxe onto the ground and let Lu Pingyan chisel it himself. Kind. Kind. Yen Bugue was full of resentment and struggled to chisel the ice. While chiseling in the heart and cursing on the street, I dare not curse out. He thought he could get to the fishing hole, so he didn't carry a pickaxe. If Lu Pingyan doesn't lend it to him, he will have to go back and get it. Once and for all, there's nothing else to do in the morning. Next to him, Lu Pingyan held the fishing hook and froze. Yen Bugue straightened up and wiped his sweat, then laughed and said, I said it's safe. I didn't prepare any fishing bait. Are you going to learn from Jiang Taigong? No, then you have to straighten the hook. After speaking, he gave up his previous fishing hole and started digging a new pit further away from Lu Pingyan. He doesn't want to build his own nest and let Lu Pinyin take advantage of it. Not far away, several old men stretched their necks and looked over here, but also smiled. Young man, you figured out how to play with the white wolf with your bare hands. Hanging a vegetable leaf is also a meaning. You look down on the fish in our capital too much. Can play. If I could catch it, I've been throwing away my bait for decades. Lu Pinyin remained motionless. Consciousness is digging holes in the valley of the system. I dug several pits in a row, but didn't even dig out an earthworm. Suddenly, he looked towards Lingxi. Overnight, the fish grew significantly larger. The small fish fry, originally 1 or 2 centimeters long and almost transparent, have grown to the size of a palm and are full of vitality. The system has never fed fish, which means that Lingxi water is nutritious. Lu Pinyin touched the stream and his consciousness returned to reality. He wiped the fishing hook in his hand and was about to throw it down. A man in his 60s, wrapped in a military master, walked over and enthusiastically said, "Young man, take your sister fishing." Lu Pinyin nodded with a smile. The relationship between the two families is good. Rainwater is young and sensible, and he is cute. He has already become his own sister. The old man handed over a corn dough bait the size of a quail egg and whispered, "Let's play for a while and go home. It's not worth the 3 people freezing in winter. Don't let your 2 sisters freeze." Lu Pinyin knew that the old man saw him as a beginner. He is indeed a beginner. After thanking him, he threw the fishing hook into the fishing hole. Ding ling ling ling. Almost the moment it was thrown down. The small copper bell tied to the fishing line is ringing. Everyone was taken aback. The military coat widened its eyes. Yen Bugui threw down his pickaxe and ran over. Not far away, Xiaoqingqing and Rainwater ran even faster. Behind the 2 little girls, there were several old men following. Experienced anglers can determine the size of a fish by listening to the sound of a bell, and they are always close to it. Lu Pinyin is happy again. Just as Yen Bugui dropped his pickaxe, he realized that a shooting star had once again flashed over the valley. Upon seeing the taskbar, it turned into February 20th. That's great. The 2 old villains in the courtyard have made contributions to him. 010, 80 cm big grass carp. Asking for flowers to be harvested. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Pinyin held the fishing line in his hand but didn't pull it. It's not that I don't have enough strength, but that I'm afraid the fishing line will break. He grasped the force, released the thread, slowly wound it up, and added a little more, not small. Big goods. You can tell by the cutting force of the thread. This kid, I didn't even catch it, but you did. I estimate that this fish will weigh 6 or 7 pounds. More than just that. Less than 8 pounds. Relax. Don't pull hard. Quick pull, yes. It's over. Quick loosen. Fishermen are all kind-hearted, and a few old cannons saw that Lu Pinyin was a novice and gave him a lot of guidance. Kind. 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 Yen Bugui was so envious that his mouth was watering, and he ran back to the hole desperately chiseling ice. Taking advantage of his good taste, he also wants to catch more fish. But soon, he was once again drawn in by everyone shouting and shouting. Hey! Big goods, big goods. What a big black back. Grass carp. It's broken. The hole is too small. Hey! This big head doesn't weigh 10 pounds, I'll pull it off and stomp on it like a bubble. A few old men commanded for more than 20 minutes, but the fish finally couldn't hold on anymore. They cursed at the street and poked their heads out of the water, braving bubbles. There is already a circle of people around. Yen Bugui smiled and said, Lu Pinyin, please be careful. The entrance to the cave is now too small. When this fish regains its strength, your fishing line will definitely not be able to hold up. Click, click, click. Click, click, click. Time and time again. Yen Bugui was dumbfounded. He ignored the enthusiastic nature of the fishermen. Some old men used hammers and chisels, while others swung pickaxes and operated with a clang. In less than 3 minutes, they enlarged the hole by a large circle. Up, up, up. The military coat man who was delivering the bait was afraid that the fish would run away. He simply lay on the ice, grabbed the fish gills and pulled them up. Grandma. It's too heavy. Someone else. Oldly, copying the net. Copying the net. Look, look. Get up. Get up, you. Mr. Lee, wearing a black cotton hat next to him, searched the bottom of the net and pulled the big grass carp out of the ice with all his might. Pap. Pap. The large grass carp, which is 80 centimeters long, has a black-green metallic light shining on its back in the sunlight, and its tail vigorously pats the ice surface. Yen Bugui's expression remained frozen. Swallowed saliva. Suddenly, I started to hate in my heart. If Lu Pingyan makes the fishing hole bigger, he can also follow the hook. At that time, who knew whose hook the fish bit? Maybe this big grass carp is his. Lu Pingyan smiled and asked, "Third master, how many pounds does this fish weigh?" Yen Bugui hides a knife in his smile, asking the fart, "Where is the diaphragm?" But as the third uncle, he still had to hold his face, so he forced a smile and said, "Maybe it's over 8 pounds. What kind of eyes? I'll show you if this fish weighs less than 10 pounds. At least 10 pounds. Old Yen, do you know this guy? Why didn't you help just now? How did you become these 3 masters? Old Yen, your eyesight is really not good because you haven't caught such a big fish before. Ha ha ha. The fishermen knew each other and started joking. Lu Pingyan could tell that they didn't seem to like seeing Yen Bugui very much. In theory, it is easy to make friends in fishing circles, and I don't know how he manages to get along. Many masters have dispersed and returned to their posts, hoping to catch big profits themselves. Look at that movement, it's much more agile than before. Fishing is like this. Seeing others fishing for big fish makes me happy too. I always feel that good luck can definitely turn to me. Yen Bugui threw down his pickaxe and said in a low voice, "Peace, sell me this fish." Speaking, he looked at the frozen grass carp. Under the sunshine, the fish spine exudes a blue-black metallic luster, it's incredibly beautiful. Lu Pingyan glanced sideways and whispered, "What's the price?" Yen Bugui whispered, 1 yuan. Not much. Lu Pingyan exclaimed loudly, 1 yuan. Sure, third master. Yen Bugui was overjoyed, but he didn't expect it to come true. He could make a lot of net profit by changing hands. You should know that there are several people fishing in a radius of several tens of meters. As soon as Lu Pingyan said these words, the surrounding temples were immediately bombed. What? 1 yuan. Old Yen, you're still as shameless as before. Young man, don't listen to him. Now grass carp and carp weigh 271 pounds, silver carp is 199 pounds. This one of yours weighs at least 10 pounds, don't sell it for 2.5 yuan. Old Yen, is this the person from your courtyard? What do you mean? You are still the third master, you are really not a thing. Young man, Grandpa won't lie to you. I'll make 11 pounds of this fish for you, and then make it up to 3 yuan for me. Okay, Grandpa, just 3 yuan. Lu Pingyan knows about it, and one more thing, the bait was given by this military coat uncle. Although their main function is to provide water for the stream, their kindness is also worth saving face. The military coat master obviously didn't need any money, took out 3 yuan and handed it to Lu Pingyan, happily dragging the fish away. Old Gao, go home and brag with your sister. In.law. Ha ha ha, definitely tell my sister. In.law that he caught it himself. Lao Gao, come back next time and bring a bottle of Fingio, otherwise I'll tell you when I see my sister. In law next time. Young man, you've been a big help to Lao Gao. Lao Gao has been serving as the Air Force commander for 5 days. Ha ha ha. Everyone burst out laughing. Lu Pingyan also followed suit with a cheerful smile. We were strangers, but we seemed to be old fishing friends for many years. Pingyan, you naughty kid. You deliberately made me lose face. Yen Bugue is very dissatisfied. Don't sell, don't sell. As for slapping people in the face. Lu Pingyan pursed his lips. If it weren't for making old Yen contribute his emotional value. They are too lazy to pay attention to him. There's no fish left to eat. Xiao Qingqing's expression was disappointed, and she pouted as she wanted to cry. He rainwater hugged Xia Qingqing tightly and comforted her softly. It's okay, Qingqing. My father and brother will bring back food tonight. You can come too when the time comes. In any era, there are no cooks who starve to death. Siheyuan is a time-honored brand on Qianmen Street, with a big family and a great business, and is not stingy with chefs. Although it is not allowed to bring out ingredients, leftover food is not stingy. Xia Qingqing turned into a smiling face and said sweetly, Sister, it's really nice. Qingqing likes you. Ding-ling-ling-ling, at this moment, the small copper bell rang again, and this time the sound was denser and clearer. Even Mr. Gao, who didn't walk far, heard it.